You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, how some Baxter Springs parents feel about the district's 4-day school week.
Plus, the KOAM Nation celebrates 10 years of cleanup efforts at the Tar Creek Superfund site.
And we've had some heavy rain across the area, at least for some of us, with some thunderstorms out there. Cooler weather on the way. We'll tell you when it's going to get here and have that forecast to get you out the door coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner, just after 7 a.m. on this Thursday morning, that much closer to Friday here in the 4 states. And
so close.
Oh boy, tomorrow it's going to seem like a totally different month, a totally different season, a totally different everything, because it is really going to cool down.
Ooh,
Not today so much, but by tomorrow morning, you're going to think it's November or something.
Oh no, busting out the boots already?
Well, maybe not that far, but still, it's going to be a lot chillier. We're going to look at that forecast here in just a second. And of course, some of us getting some rain out there, but we got a local band doing some big things.
Very impressive. Like, local boys make it big. Young the Giants is an amazing band. I'm a huge fan of them. And these guys, they're called the Fox Royale, are actually going on tour with Young the Giant in Europe. KOAM's Miranda Burton has a look at their story.
Brothers Nathan and Caleb Hurley are the founding members of this alternative band, which launched into the music industry in 2020. Their first ever concert as Fox Royale was here at Joplin Avenue Coffee Company. Since then, they've played many venues in Joplin, such as Wilder's, JB's Piano Lounge, and Joplin Avenue a couple more times. However, the brothers did not find immediate success.
We started Fox Royale in 2020, like the same week as COVID started. So we just stayed home for like a year as soon as we started.
Fox Royale has used social media to gain a solid fan base, but it's their own grit that has landed them in Young the Giant's sights, along with a little luck.
We've been playing like festivals a lot this summer. But this is like a last-minute support slot. So they were going on tour, and they needed an opening band. So we got a call like 3 weeks ago that they liked us, and they were down to have us on the tour. So that was very surprising, because I've been listening to Young the Giant forever.
According to the brothers-made band members, the credibility gained from this experience is already opening doors for their career. Next
month, as soon as we're back, our last show of the year is going to be in Chicago, and we're opening for one of my favorite childhood bands. So I'm not going to say right now, but it's just a song everyone's heard of, you know, and it was really cool to get that one.
They are already on tour in Europe, but the brothers admit that tour life isn't all glamorous.
And we're making merch at this apartment that the label got us, and then we're also, like, we bought a drum kit off Facebook Marketplace, like in like some neighborhood like 2 miles from here, and then we're customizing it this week, and then we start, our first show is on Sunday in Germany. So, and then we're renting a van, and I'm just going to drive us on this whole tour.
Even through all the excitement, the brothers are reminding themselves to enjoy the moment, no matter what may be in store for them.
Honestly, if we peaked and never did anything else and just opened for Young the Giant on a European tour and got picked for that, for me, that's further than I ever visualized going when I was in college.
Reporting from Joplin, Missouri, this is Miranda Burton with KOAM News.
And the first show in Europe is on October 8th. Fox Royale encourages 4 states to keep up with them on social media to see what they do next.
That's certainly fascinating. And just an incredible story out there to be able to go from here to there.
Right.
So
make those dreams come true, boys.
Absolutely.
We're all rooting for you.
Absolutely. We certainly are. And we've still got some showers, a couple of thunderstorms out there, at least for some of us. Our camera 7th in range light boy was showing some fair amounts of lightning and some pretty heavy rainfall. So hopefully kids waiting to get on the bus were able to get into a shelter, get under a porch, stay in the car with the parents, something like that, because boy, you did not want them out there a moment ago when this was really coming down. But camera 32nd in range line showing things are beginning to calm down a little bit as the showers and storms continue to push off to the east southeast. So here's that big one. So if you're on I-49 from roughly Lamar to almost Neosho, and then I-44 from Joplin heading east towards Sarcoxy, you want to be prepared for some torrential rainfall with this storm. We've picked up some small hail here and there, but that's really not been a thing here in the last few sweeps on this. But still very heavy rainfall falling, especially along I-49. So do make sure you watch out for that. This activity part of cold front number 1, stretching from here all the way back down into Oklahoma. Cold front number 2 is out this way. Cold front number 2 is going to be the one that has a bigger impact on our temperatures. Right now in Joplin, though, rain starting to let up. Still some cloudy skies, 65. Pittsburgh, rain slowly but surely clearing out as well, sitting at 64. And as we get our day started, the rest of these showers should be out of our area by roughly 10 o'clock this morning. Then we're going to be partly cloudy, pushing 70 by late morning. We've still got a fairly warm day today ahead of cold front number 2. We'll talk about what happens once that gets here with your full forecast in just a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly joined healthcare leaders at a session via Christie Hospital in Pittsburgh yesterday for an event to promote Medicaid expansion. The governor's office says House District 3, which includes Pittsburgh, is home to about 2,000 working Kansans without health insurance. Governor Kelly herself says Medicaid expansion will be a key voting issue in the next election.
Really, the issue of convincing the leadership that it is in their best interests to allow their caucuses to debate and vote on Medicaid expansion. Next year is an election year. Every single legislator in the House and in the Senate will be up for election. Medicaid expansion will be a driving issue in the 24 election.
The governor's office cites census data that shows nearly 140,000 Kansans who work don't have health insurance. They would be covered under a Medicaid expansion. The Missouri Attorney General is urging Tyson Foods to sell rather than close the Tyson plants in Knoll and Dexter, Missouri. AG Andrew Bailey makes this request in a letter to the Tyson CEO, Donnie King. Bailey says both federal and state law require Tyson to make every effort to sell. Bailey points out that Knoll Tyson plant employs 1,500 workers, and its closure would have a devastating impact on the community's economy. The plant is scheduled to close on or around October 20th. And much of northeast Oklahoma has battled contamination from old mining waste known as chat for decades. Yesterday, the Quapaw Nation marks 10 years of a project intended to preserve historic structures, artifacts, and landscape features while the chat was removed. A commemoration event yesterday celebrated the success of this project. It began in 2013 when an agreement allowed the Quapaw Nation to work with the EPA during the chat cleanup in the Tar Creek Superfund site.
We've taken on so much work in the last 10 years, starting out at the Catholic 40 where we addressed 100,000 tons of material to now we're addressing 100,000 tons of material in one given month. So we've really sort of increased our operational sort of experience.
This was the first tribally managed Superfund site cleanup in the United States. That cleanup project is expected to continue for decades. And the Baxter Springs, Kansas School District is adjusting to a 4-day school week, Tuesday through Friday. Last year, the community voted in favor of the 4-day school week to be implemented for this school year. The transition is part of the recruitment and retention plan for staff. The district superintendent says that the new schedule now gives staff a choice to make up hours or rest. And it's not just the staff that's adjusting to the new schedule.
I think that it's taken a little bit of pressure off of her also to have that extra day off. She can use it to catch up on homework, she can use it for sports, she can just hang out with mom.
By the time that they get out from the extended day that they're currently having, it's about 7 o'clock before they get out of their sports programs for the day.
School officials say they'll know more in depth about how students are adjusting when benchmark scores come in. Up next, how dark tea may help to balance blood sugar levels, and later, why Moderna's new flu-COVID combination vaccine is making progress. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back, but first here's a live look from Cherryville, Kansas at Pryor Creek Farms. In Health Watch this morning, dark tea may help balance blood sugar levels and avoid type 2 diabetes. Researchers in China examined almost 2,000 people between the ages of 20 and 80 years old. The participants were asked their preference of tea and how often they drink it. They were also tested for urine glucose and insulin resistance. Researchers found that people who drink dark tea daily had a 53% lower chance of developing prediabetes and a 47% lower chance of developing type 2 diabetes. Researchers say drinking tea is linked to an increase in urinary glucose excretion, which would contribute to healthier blood sugar levels. And Moderna's new flu-COVID combination vaccine is making progress. The company is now testing the vaccine designed to protect people from both COVID-19 and seasonal flu with a single shot. Wednesday, Moderna said the vaccine appeared to elicit strong immune responses for both conditions. The company says it will now expand testing into the next phase. That will involve giving the shots to a number of adults 50 years and older later this year. Moderna said it is hoping to get regulatory approval of the combination vaccine by 2025. And when a 2-month-old with a rare infection began losing her hearing, her parents had just days to decide how to treat it. Susan Elizabeth Littlefield reports from Minnesota.
The excitement of bringing baby Diana home was quickly muted for parents Crystal and Justin Strom.
Getting rushed to the NICU at 3 days old is terrifying and terrible.
Diana had spiked a fever and wasn't eating. She was facing several challenges: seizures, bacterial meningitis, and hydrocephalus, which is a buildup of fluid in the brain. Over the next 6 weeks at Children's Minnesota Hospital, doctors heavily medicated Diana to control the seizures and inserted a shunt in her brain to relieve the fluid. They gave her antibiotics for bacterial meningitis, but the infection was stealing hearing in her right ear.
If we don't act quickly, we may never be able to give her the opportunity to hear out of that ear.
The family had to decide within a week whether or not to go forward with a cochlear implant before the inner ear was permanently closed.
We wanted to give her the best opportunity to have hearing.
At just 10 weeks old, Diana became the second youngest person ever to get the implant. The device turns sound vibrations into electrical signals that the brain can recognize.
Mama's going to be the first one to talk, okay?
The whole family was there as the earpiece lit up and Diana could hear.
Can you hear?
She's looking to the other side more.
Her eyes got super wide and she's just looking at me with that cute little innocence, like, I can hear something.
That's something the family will never take for granted. Susan Elizabeth Littlefield, CBS News, Savage, Minnesota.
Last year, a Tennessee infant received a cochlear implant at just 2 months old. She also had bacterial meningitis.
Well, we've got a few scattered showers and thunderstorms still hanging around the area, as you can see, beginning to make their way out. This is part of cold front number 1, which has cooled some of our temperatures this morning, but we'll still be warm later today. We will be a little colder, though, as we head into Friday and Saturday with cold front number 2 expected later tonight. Quick look outside. As you can see, we got the rain coming to a slow end there in Joplin, sitting at 65, and the rain wrapping up in Pittsburgh as well, sitting at 64. We get our morning started. We're looking at those thunderstorms and showers clearing out of here by about 9, maybe 10 o'clock at the latest. Temperature 70 by 11 o'clock this morning. Excuse me. We'll talk about cold front number 2 and what it does to our temperatures here in just a few minutes. And coming up, faculty and students from K-State visiting residents in Allen County yesterday afternoon. We'll be right back after this. First, here's a live look from Cherryvale, Kansas at Pryor Creek Farms. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. 7:19 now on this Thursday morning. One big thunderstorm, not strong, not severe, but bringing plentiful heavy rainfall right across eastern Jasper County, northeastern Newton County, and the southern portions of Barton County, bringing lots of dangerous lightning. So be aware of that. Kids waiting on the bus, they need a safer place to be than just out there on the corner. And a lot of heavy rainfall with this as it's developed and just continued to push off to the east-southeast. So Monette, Mount Vernon, Sarcoxy, those places along the line are going to be next. And of course, if you're traveling out on I-44 now heading east, you need to be aware of this very heavy rain that's falling with this storm. MoDOT camera 32nd and range line looking a lot calmer than it did earlier this morning when that storm got into Joplin. Boy, it was pouring down rain out there and plentiful lightning as well. MoDOT camera US 60 and Missouri 59 down in Neosho. The showers, as we saw in the Skywatch storm tracker, just immediately to the north. So here on the south side of the city, it doesn't look like it was raining, but I'll bet a little further north in Neosho it probably was. Rain also now coming to an end over in Pittsburgh from KDOT camera US 69 and East 520th Avenue. And take a look at those clouds, don't they? They just look impressive. They look amazing out there with this activity. It's rolling through. So thunderstorm activity coming to a close in Joplin, sitting at 65. This is all part of cold front number 1, which you can see the wind arrows and that temperature difference. But it's not. This isn't the one that's going to have the big impact on our temperatures. It's cold front number 2 that's back there that'll bring our temperatures down even further. But it has cooled us back a bit. See 59 Yates Center, 58 Iola, 62 in Chanute. Ahead of it, still 65 Chatopa, 66 Miami, 65 Neosho and Monette, and 66 in Carthage. So again, showers, thunderstorms, this last little batch lasting through 9, maybe 10 o'clock at the latest. Going partly cloudy and right around 70 by 11. Highs today, so I'm talking about cold front number 1 does not punch our temperatures down just yet. Mostly clear skies, plentiful sunshine out there, mid to upper 70s. And we actually stay mild initially in the evening with clear skies, stay upper 60s. And then we start to fall back as cold front number 2 gets here. And we're eventually going back in lower 50s, maybe even some upper 40s out there under mostly clear skies. And it is going to get cooler yet. In fact, frosty, a word we're using for Saturday. We're talking upper 60s tomorrow. Overnight lows tomorrow night, though, could be upper 40s, maybe even some lower 30s out there, and that's possible Saturday night as well. Look at that. Low 60s, maybe some upper 50s for highs. So talk about being well below average now. A little warmer Sunday, 71. We head into next week. We start to warm back up right around the low 80s. Then another system, showers, thunderstorms through Thursday, maybe some showers Friday, but that next system kicks us down another 20 degrees. So we go from well above average again to back well below average to close out next week. Let's check your forecast. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Halloween is almost here and decorating is in full swing. But a Rhode Island man goes above and beyond. Sam Reed introduces us to his House of 1,000 Pumpkins.
Back behind Tim Perry's home in Cranston, pumpkins are being picked up and brought in a bag out front.
Usually I don't start till October 1st, but this year I wanted to be done for October 1st.
While many decorate for fall, Tim takes it to another level.
I mean, I've always loved Halloween ever since I was a kid.
Because after learning about the haunted holiday, it was love at first fright.
My favorite horror movie is A House of 1,000 Corpses.
And for the last 15 years, 365 days a year, he's carving craft pumpkins using an X-Acto knife.
I created the House of 1,000 Pumpkins.
They come out of storage at the start of autumn. He positions them perfectly on his lawn. And trust me, they're scary good.
Once they're all out, I'm still working on it. It'll be close to 1,400.
For the last 3 years, typically 200 a year, are added to his collection.
A lot of my pumpkins are actually rock bands because I'm really into rock music.
He takes a week off of work wiring them and bolting them into a base. And then when the sun sets at the start of spooky season, the pumpkins come out to play.
I have them on from 5 to 11 p.m.
While it might not be a nightmare on Elm Street, it's a dream come true for Tim, whose home is coincidentally on Elm Drive.
A lot of times I'll just be quiet and see and listen to them talk and say good things. It's nice to hear good things even when they don't know I'm around. So
the house of more than 1,000 pumpkins is irresistible and quite the sight to see.
I get tons of great remarks. Everybody thanks me for doing it. They say I'm the best thing in the neighborhood. They look forward to it every year. The kids go nuts. They're screaming, running around.
The display not only brightens the spirits of others who see it, but it's helping families affected by cancer through a Facebook fundraiser.
My wife was diagnosed with a type of cancer 2 years ago, and she's doing okay, and hopefully the cancer's done.
This dazzling display will stay up until the big day. Tim says he enjoys giving people pumpkin to talk about.
On a typical night, there'll just be traffic, constant traffic. You know, it's great.
It's what you live for.
It's what I live for. Halloween, it's the best.
Well, Perry is definitely the pumpkin king. He says that he gets the pumpkins on clearance after the holiday, then he carves about one a night and stores them until the big reveal.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy. Faculty and students from K-State visited residents in Allen County yesterday afternoon. KOAM's Anthony Saviello gives us a look.
Though Kansas State University may be over 150 miles away, its outreach stretches all the way across the state.
This is an effort by President Linton to get to all 105 counties, and what we're trying to do is lift up the good work that's happening in these counties and ways that K-State could partner with that work moving forward.
Residents and alumni of K-State in Allen County were invited to listen and give input about K-State.
And if we can lift the profile of higher education throughout the state, that's a winning strategy in terms of access for all kinds of learners, whether that's traditional students all the way to people who might be reskilling or retooling for a job.
The outreach also brings students who are part of the Connected Cats program to share their college experience.
Family is a big thing at K-State, and so getting just students from all different walks of life to come together.
Brody Nemechek is a senior at K-State and an Iola, Kansas native. The animal science major has a lot of pride for his school and what he's been able to accomplish.
That kind of community of bringing two teams from different backgrounds together and then to win a national championship, something that everybody dreams of.
He was joined with Allison Hine, another senior and Southeast Kansan, who shared her enthusiasm about being back home.
It's really fun to be back in the area. We were talking on the drive down, kind of reminiscing of what's changed since we were in school and just how things have been developing.
For these students, this outreach is important to share with those who have molded them. And through their efforts, they may even make a few more Wildcats. Reporting in Humboldt, Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
The outreach will continue in Allen County later today. And
And it's time for a quick check of that forecast out there. So we've got some scattered showers still pushing through parts of the area. Take a look at this shot, though, from our camera at 7th and Rangeline. Just look at those clouds. Don't they look just really neat out there? MoDOT camera, 32nd and Rangeline. Still got the wet roadways, but the rain is stopping in Joplin. And it's going to stop for everybody here before too much longer as cold front number 1 continues to push off to the southeast, and cold front number 2, which will not have any precipitation with it, but will have cooler weather with it, begins to move into the area. So here's a look at that line of storms. It's a nice little thunderstorm here from Greenfield back down toward parts of Jasper and Newton counties, moving off to the east-southeast. So Mount Vernon, Monette, get ready as this is heading your direction. No severe weather with this, but some fairly heavy rain and a lot of lightning out there with this storm as well. Joplin, we're cloudy, but we're drying out, 65. Pittsburgh, same thing, cloudy, but drying out, sitting at... I knew it was coming. There's nothing I could do to stop it. I knew it was coming. Excuse me. All right, so showers, storms, they're going to start to wrap up 9, 10 o'clock at the latest. We're going to be partly cloudy, pushing right around 70 by late morning. Again, we're going to warm up today. Cold front number 2 doesn't get here until tonight, and we'll talk about what that'll do for our forecast here in a few more minutes. Caitlin.
Bless you, Chris. And Southwest Missouri Bank joined Souls Harbor in celebrating a new play area for the shelter yesterday. The shelter serves men, women, and homeless families in Joplin, and the addition of the play area will make stays there easier for the youngest residents. For the shelter, the play area has only upsides.
It's going to be a lot bigger, and they also have a cement pad that they can use to set the picnic tables on and such. So then they'll have a much better place to sit, less lawn care, and then the kids will have a play area that's well cushioned, and they can, if they have any accidents, then they don't have any problems with that.
Souls Harbor is located at 817 South Main in Joplin. In Special Olympics, Kansas rolls out a regional unified bocce competition yesterday. The competition consisted of 66 teams and hundreds of people turned out to cheer them on. 2 athletes paired with 2 partners and teams played 2 games. For the athletes, the event was more than just about competition, as they made new friendships and social connections.
The biggest thing I hope that they gain is those relationships, working on communicating, working on independence, working on, having those people within the community that they can go up and talk to and be friends with and have those lifelong friendships made.
The competition featured youth level all the way up to adults. The McDonald County School District today showed off its Mustang Pride. It's homecoming week, so the district held a parade. There was also food trucks so people could eat before the floats went through the streets of Anderson. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Tens of thousands of Kaiser Permanente employees walked off the job yesterday. We'll have the details.
And we've got ourselves some exiting showers and storms. It's still a fairly warm day before temperatures really cool down. We'll take a look at that forecast when we come back. Well, tens of thousands of Kaiser Permanente employees walked off the job yesterday as part of a massive healthcare strike. Naomi Ruckham tells us what the union is asking for and how the walkout could impact patients.
In the most significant walkout in healthcare history, more than 75,000 Kaiser Permanente workers are now on strike.
I can't live paycheck to paycheck anymore. It's just not fair.
Though most of the impact is in California, employees at facilities across Colorado, Oregon, Virginia, Washington, and Washington, D.C. are also striking. The union is asking for better working conditions and a $25 an hour minimum wage. In its latest statement, Kaiser said it has offered that $25 minimum wage in California and $23 in other states, though no deal has been reached yet. Staffing, one of the biggest issues on the picket line.
We had a lot of people leave the industry during COVID, and they haven't replaced those workers.
And the strike is now taking a toll on patients.
I didn't even get to walk inside. The guy stopped me right at the door and said, pharmacy? Yeah, well, we close at 5 p.m. sharp, sorry.
In a message to patients, Kaiser said facilities will remain open, though some non-urgent appointments may need to be rescheduled. Hospital administrators say they hope to return to the bargaining table soon. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, strikes around the country so far this year have meant a loss of nearly 7.5 million workdays, the most in more than 20 years. Well, coming up, how Taylor Swift's economic impact is growing and spreading to movie theaters and the sports world. And take another look at that forecast and talk to you about what's going to happen when cold front number 2 gets here in just a couple of minutes. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 741, almost 742 on this Thursday morning. So we've still got this one big thunderstorm cluster right here in parts of southwest Missouri, and that's really about the only major rainfall that we have. Still picking up a fair amount of lightning from this as well. It's bearing down, getting into Greenfield, heading toward Mount Vernon, Monette, just exiting Carthage, Neosho area, and it is continuing to push off to the east-southeast. No strong or severe storms, no severe weather associated with that, but still plentiful rainfall out there this morning. Once this passes through, we are getting some cooler temperatures back behind that, but they're not significant. We're not going to significantly cool down until we head into our Friday, well, overnight tonight into Friday. MoDOT camera 32nd in range line. We're no longer raining. Same from the MoDOT camera at 60 and 59 in Neosho, and the KDOT camera 69 and East 520th, just south of Pittsburgh. Also, still wet roadways out there, but not raining. These clouds looking pretty neat out there. We are sitting at 65 in Joplin as this activity continues to roll on out of the area. Again, back behind front number 1, we are a little cooler. 57 Iola, 59 Yates Center, 61 Neodesha, at 63 Pittsburgh, Fort Scott, 66 Miami, Carthage, and 65 Lamar, Monette, and Neosho this morning. We got our morning started again. The last of these should be out of our area by about 9, 10 o'clock at the latest. Then we'll be partly cloudy right around 7 by 11. And as we head into the afternoon, highs today still warm, mid to upper 70s, mostly clear skies. It's going to be an absolutely beautiful day. And into the evening, we start mild and mostly clear, upper 60s. Then that other front gets in, and our temperatures begin to fall, low 50s, upper 40s for our lows tonight. Even cooler Friday, Saturday, Sunday, especially Saturday. Look at that, only 61, maybe some upper 50s for highs. Overnight lows Friday and Saturday could be upper 30s, low 40s. We'll start to warm up next week back into the low 80s, some showers, some thunderstorms, and then another system by Thursday kicks us back down into the 60s. That's checking your forecast. Now here's Caitlin with a check of Consumer Watch.
Thanks, Chris. Well, more cities are being built in high flood risk areas. That's according to a recent study. The report says from 1985, extending over 3 decades, settlements in flood-prone areas increased by a whopping 122%. Researchers looked at global flood hazard and annual settlement footprint data to understand the populations most affected by flood risk. They found that as the world's settlement grew by 85%, urbanization happened much faster in high-hazard flood zones. Researchers say exposure to all types of flooding is increasing, but they note vulnerability to coastal flooding is increasing at the fastest pace. East Asia and the Pacific region are the places with the highest exposure to flooding. The study was published Wednesday in the journal Nature. And Taylor Swift's economic impact is growing and spreading to movie theaters and the sports world. Cinemark is hoping Swift will boost movie theaters with its latest announcement as the NFL gets a bump from the singer's rumored new boo. In today's Consumer Watch, Cole Higgins has a look at how Swift and Beyonce are boosting the U.S. economy.
From the Eras Tour to movie screens across the country and now to the NFL world, Taylor Swift is boosting the U.S. economy, with some analysts coining the effect Swiftonomics.
I've been writing about Swiftonomics for almost a year now, ever since she announced the Eras Tour, and it seems like there is always something new to say.
This week, Cinemark announcing ticket sales for Swift's 3-hour concert film are setting pre-sale records. Beyonce plans to do the same with her Renaissance World Tour, as both stars position themselves to pull movie theaters out of writer's strike doldrums. And analysts say, as eager fans spend money to see both stars, it's highlighting women's economic impact.
When you think about the impact of Beyonce and Taylor Swift both, every city they go to is seeing an economic bump because women are staying in hotels. Remote working is allowing that. They're going to the hair salon. They're buying outfits on Amazon or wherever to get together.
The Eras Tour alone could be considered a $5 billion GDP type tour. That's according to Sanjay Sharma, adjunct professor of finance at the University of Southern California, who says adding it all up is hard, but says the money stays in the U.S. and supports local economies.
It's a new phenomenon. It's not even compared. Super Bowl doesn't compare to this.
Meanwhile, Swift's rumored new relationship with NFL star Travis Kelce is breaking NFL viewership records and generating lots of buzz as the Taylor Swift effect spreads to football.
Now it's NFL sales, it's a jersey sale. So it seems like at the end of the day, the big winner here is the U.S. economy and consumer spending.
For Consumer Watch, I'm Cole Higgins.
Swift's Eras Tour concert film is scheduled to open on October 13th, and Beyonce's Renaissance World Tour is expected to hit theaters in December. The market prices before the opening bell. A domestic drama with a science fiction angle opening in theaters this weekend poses questions about identity and relationships.
David Daniel has a look.
Do you feel happy here?
Of course I'm happy here. Aren't you?
Saoirse Ronan and Paul Mescal star in Foe as a couple living in a remote farmhouse in a dystopic future who receive a startling proposal from a stranger played by Aaron Pierre.
You've been selected to live up there.
Okay, well, you're wasting your time because we haven't even been on an airplane. She dated.
I should clarify. I'm talking about you here, Junior. Only you.
I just thought it was a really fascinating and creative way to explore a relationship in distress.
He doesn't really see me anymore.
Director Garth Davis adapted Ian Reid's novel with the author, though neither of them had ever written a screenplay.
We did have some screenwriters, but they weren't available for a long time. So Ian and I decided just to get in the room and page turn the novel and kind of get into the material, and that conversation grew into this vision for the film.
I've always had this fantasy that there's something else out there for me.
As in the novel, a revelation late in the film casts a new light on everything that's come before.
It really is two movies in one, or two movies, and both viewings will be very, very different.
I encourage you to use this opportunity to act on your instincts.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
A lot of
Certainly
movies.
looks interesting, yeah.
Not as interesting as Taylor Swift and her Eras Tour movie.
So much going on with Taylor Swift.
We
it's
love
so
her.
Crazy. we do. She's not bad at all. It's just wild how everybody is suddenly
The power that she has.
that's,
I mean, her influence. It's just, I'm just so happy that she's here
it's just
in our state.
Yeah, very incredible. Well, something else that's been here in our state is some rain across the area, and then we're going to have some fairly cool weather. There's a look at the Skywatch storm tracker. As you can see, thunderstorm activity continuing to push off to the east-southeast, now getting a little bit further east of Joplin, and let me move this map just a little bit here. So from Greenfield down to Mount Vernon to Monette, no severe weather with this, but some heavy rain and plentiful lightning out there as this continues to roll on through. Then we'll actually see our main cold front move in later this evening. That'll bring our temperatures down for the next 3 or 4 days. We're at 65 in Joplin, cloudy skies, but no longer raining. Same in Pittsburgh, cloudy, 63. Still some wet roadways, though. Last of these showers and storms should be out of here by about 9, 10 o'clock at the latest. It will be partly cloudy and right around 70 by late morning. We'll talk about how cool it's going to get and, of course, have the news you need to know right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The Missouri Attorney General is urging Tyson Foods to sell rather than close the Tyson plants in Knoll and Dexter, Missouri. AG Andrew Bailey makes the request in a letter to Tyson CEO Donnie King. Bailey says both federal and state law require Tyson to make every effort to sell. Bailey points out that the Knoll Tyson plant employs 1,500 workers, and its closure would have a devastating impact on the community's economy. That plant is scheduled to close on October 20th. Much of northeast Oklahoma has battled contamination from old mining waste known as chat for decades. Yesterday, the Quapaw Nation marks 10 years on a project intended to preserve historic structures, artifacts, and landscape features while the chat was removed. A commemoration event celebrated the success of that project. It began in 2013 when an agreement allowed the Quapaw Nation to work with the EPA during the chat cleanup in the Tar Creek Superfund site. And the Baxter Springs, Kansas School District is adjusting to a 4-day school week, Tuesday through Friday. Last year, the community voted in favor of the 4-day school week to be implemented for this school year. The transition is part of the recruitment and retention plan for staff. The district superintendent says that the new schedule now gives staff a choice to make up hours or rest. And it's not just the staff that's adjusting to the new schedule.
All right, we've got a few showers and storms still out there this morning. Those will clear out, and we're going to be mostly sunny today, mid-upper 70s ahead of that cold front, the second one. Later this evening, it's going to drop our temperatures. Mild initially in the evening into the upper 60s. Then we start to fall back, mostly clear skies, and we'll go low 50s, maybe even some upper 40s out there. Down the road, though, we are going to be even cooler, below average Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Talking low 60s out there, some upper 60s, and overnight lows Friday and Saturday night could be into the upper 30s and low 40s before we turn around and warm back up as we head into the next work week.
Right. Well, the NBA legend Michael Jordan has become the first professional athlete to be ranked by Forbes magazine as one of America's 400 wealthiest people.
Jordan enters the Forbes 400 list at number 379, having sold his majority stake in the Charlotte Hornets earlier this year. The magazine estimates the Basketball Hall of Famer's net worth at $3 billion.
He earned billionaire status in 2015, partly through his endorsement deal with Nike, but also through contracts with Hanes, Gatorade, and Upper Deck. Jordan has become well known for his philanthropy, making a record-breaking $10 million donation to Make-A-Wish Foundation in America in honor of his 60th birthday. It is the largest gift by an individual in the foundation's 43-year history.
Of course, Michael Jordan, always just a fantastic guy.
I want to be like Mike.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather today at noon.
Have a great rest of your day.